Welcome guys, in this video we're going to take a look at the basics of building a text editor using a graphical user interface. So crank up Visual Studio and now I'm going to go to File, New, Project. Now you're going to choose here Windows Forms Application. I'll give it some different names like our text editor here, okay? Click OK. This is going to go through a process and generate files, so it looks like this. Okay, this is a simple Windows form. Okay, now here's a lot that happens behind the scenes. First of all, if you click here, okay, you have namespaces. You have our namespace. You have a static class program. Okay, then you have static void main. That's the entry point into the program. All right, now here if you go to form 1, so it looks like this. Okay, so it says partial class, so as I said in the previous video, partial classes are used here. Okay, and then you have this interface container. Okay, then you have this dispose method. Now here if you expand this, is the initialize component, and if you go to form 1, that looks like this. Okay, this is public partial class form 1, and it is a kind of form because it inherits from it. You see this? Alright, so there's a lot of code that's generated by default here. Alright, so what we want to do is first, with this simple interface here, okay, we're going to put a rich text box in here. So here on the left side, you should have a toolbox up here. If you don't, you're going to go to View and Toolbox like that. Okay? So if you look, expand all Windows forms, it looks like this. And then you have some common controls. Okay, so controls are the items that you place in it. Okay, so drag and drop a text box in here. Drag it, make sure it fills everything like this, you see. Now here if you click that smart tag, it says doc and parent container, that will fill the whole container. On doc, it looks like this, you see. Okay, now the next step might be to add a menu. So let's take a look at where that is located. Here, menus and toolbars. Let me close this. Okay, so you can add a menu strip up here like that. For our purposes, that's enough. Now if you expand that, okay, so you can make this menu, make that one here open, for example, right? Okay, so first we'll just have an open, that's it. So now with that open, if you double click it, it brings up as what's known as the event handler. In other words, this is the code that runs when someone clicks open. It looks like this. Okay, so private void open tool strip menu, object sender event arguments E. Okay, so an object is going to send a message here. An event args is information that is sent about the event of having been clicked, for example. Now here, I will take some code that I have here, paste that down below, comment that out, and I'm going to build, we're going to build a real application over the next several. Okay, so no more baby examples, but something real. Okay, so first, let me delete the code that I don't need. Alright, within the body here, you're going to type open file dialog like this, okay, and then 1, and then you're going to set the initial directory. Now, as you can see, when you first start typing, it doesn't show you what you need. Okay, you need to fix that. So you're going to come back to the designer, okay, and here from dialogues, you're going to get the open file dialog, drag and drop that in there like that, so it's available for us, okay, but it doesn't show, but it's available nonetheless. Alright, and now you're going to come back here. Okay, so let me delete this code, and let me drag a fresh copy of it back in here, and you can do that, you can always, you see. Alright, now also, to make our code work, here we're going to add some additional features, additional using. So you're going to say using and then system.io like that, and then using system.drawing.printing, like that. Okay. At first we may not use them, but we'll use them eventually. Okay, so that's that. Let me delete this. Okay, now right here in this public void open toolstrip menu, we're going to say open file dialog 1 dot. Okay, initial directory, and then you're going to put that symbol there, and then you're going to do that, and then C, and then data. Okay, so this is where it's going to open at first and close out the semicolon. Open file dialog.filter is what's next, and here this has a very peculiar syntax, but you just have to do it. Text files, okay, like that, and then you're going to say .txt. Then you're going to put a vertical bar there, like that. Okay, and then you'll say start.txt, and then another bar, and then all files, and then star dot, and then star, and close that, and then another bar, and then star dot star, and then close out with a semicolon. Okay, so and this should say filter, not file name, like that. So this is the filter. We'll see in a second what that is, okay, more vividly than if I just describe it in words. Okay, now next you're going to do open file dialog dot filter index. You're going to set that equal to 1. Now, open file dialog dot restore directory, like that, and set that equal to true. Okay. For now, this is code. Once you see it running, all of this will be much more vividly clear. Okay. First is very abstract because it's just code. Now you're going to do this: if open file dialog 1 dot show dialog equals dialog result dot OK, like that. What you're going to do is you're going to get a stream reader like this, S reader, and we can just call it reader for our purposes, and then you're going to say new stream reader, new stream reader, and then you'll say open file dialog 1 dot file name, like that. Alright, file name, and then close out with a semicolon. Alright, now once you have that, we're going to do this: try, and then you'll say here which text box 1 dot text equals, and then you'll say reader dot to read to end, and close that with a semicolon. If that doesn't work, and do a catch exception ex. That looks like this. And then you'll catch and say here message box, okay, dot, and then show, and then ex dot message. Okay, so show the message, display some text, such as, for example, check your issue. And now you can also show different kinds of buttons. So at the next stage we are going to say message box buttons that OK, and comma, and then we can also show a different kind of icon. So we're going to say message box icon dot information, and close that with a semicolon. Okay, there you go, and that is it for this one. So this one will handle opening, like that. This is all in sidebars of PDF. I know this is a lot of code. This is realistic code, so it's difficult to fit on a screen properly. Okay? So this is what we have at this stage. Now, let me delete this code down below. Okay? It looks like this. Take this over a couple lines so it fits. Okay, so when somebody clicks open, all of this code is going to run. Give this a build. Build has succeeded. Great. Now also notice that when you, in the form designer, when I added this box here, you can still dock it in the parent container like that, you see? And I added the toolstrip menu, and then I added an item to the toolstrip. This is generating, if you go to form1.designer, okay, and you go through the bot to where it says initialize component, all of that stuff that you add visually generates code behind the scenes of the kind that you see here. Okay? Of course, this.rich text box 1 equals a new system that windows that forms rich text box speaks for itself, right? So this means the current object, and then you're adding all of these things. Okay, and if you go through it, this is all automatic. And notice on the bottom it says this.opentoolstrip.menu.click plus equals. This is how you add an event handler. Okay, so when somebody clicks there, this new system, that event handler, and then it says open toolstrip menu item underscore click, that is what runs when somebody clicks that. And that's how you add an event handler with the plus equals. Alright, so let's come back here. Let's give this a start. Okay, so if you're going to go to File, Menu, Open, and it brings up this dialog, see? And notice that it goes to data first because we specify that. And notice further over here, you see this where it says text files, that's our filter. You see that? Okay, so you can do text files or you can do all files, for example. Okay, and text files. So if you select, for example, SAMP2, and it shows that there's line 1. That's all that was in that one. See? So menu open and new SAMP file. There's a lot more writing in the second one. See? Okay. So that's what it looks like so far. Let me unload this from memory. There you go. So at this point, make sure that you have a rich text box like this one. Okay. Make sure you have a menu strip, and you have one item called open. Double click on open. That brings up the code event handler like this. Okay, this was the default directory. We also saw that text files and all files are the filters that allow us to see which files are visible. Okay, if you change the filter here, index to 2 like this, okay, and you run this, take a look. You go to File, Open. Notice that now all files comes up in the filter, so that's the function of that. Okay. Changing this from 1 to 2, that means this all files is going to come up in the filter first. Right, but we'll leave it this way. And of course you can add other ones here, correct, if you wanted to. Alright, restore directory means every time you go through the process it goes back to data here. Okay, even if you navigate to some other place, open a file, when you go through it again, it should return you to the original. Alright, now, if the dialog resolved that OK, so if somebody clicks OK, the file is ready to open. Okay, we get the file name, we get a stream reader, we read that. Okay, you get the reader, you read to the end, and you save all of that to the text property of the rich text box. And that's how it displays within the rich text box. If there's an error, then we're going to get a message box and show an informative message, and it's going to give you an OK button and a message box icon that says information. Okay, like that. Yeah, so make sure you've got this stage of the project complete. And in the next stage, we'll add several more additional functions. But at this point, this is already a lot. Make sure you get this to work.